Chapter 15. Dahav. My knees hurt from kneeling. I've lost track of time while I've been here in front of the shrine. Just a little bit longer and I'll get up. Noka says I pray too much. When your priest tells you that, you know you're overdoing it. Just a little more. I inhale. I can still smell the burned flesh in my nostrils. It penetrates the heavy scents of incense that fill the temple even though it has been a day and night since the bodies were burned. I could never get used to that smell. It is disconcerting how the stench of the women's flesh burning is similar to that of burnt cattle. I expect men's burning flesh to smell the same, but I wouldn't know for sure. Death by immolation is reserved only for women. Men are hanged when they receive the death penalty. In Aldon, they burn their dead. I suppose that is why widows are burned instead of hanged. In Kozari, too, we burn our dead. We only embrace certain parts of the true religion. Yet this sacrilegious tradition of burning the widows was too happily adopted by my grandfather. It is repugnant, the way the men of my family knead and twist our faith to their benefit. I run my thumb along my sun charm and repeat the passages I know by heart. If I concentrate just a little more, I can stop hearing the widow's screams. But I've been kneeling for hours, and still, their screams are loud in my ears. It is the guilt. Well-earned guilt. I should have saved them. Ashar had a harem of 53 women, and they burned them all. 53 souls. It took hours. First, they burned Ashar's corpse, or what was left of it. They usually don't cover the corpses, but the state of it was so appalling they had no choice but to drape it in gilded silk. Then they burned his concubines, and in a matter of hours, 204 bastards were orphaned. I should have done something. But I couldn't risk revealing my true intentions just yet. 53 souls. Some mothers, some sisters, and some friends. Dead, burned alive. 53, and I did nothing. It will haunt me to the death. Mira, who taught me how to avoid getting pregnant, was one of them. She was not yet 20. I grip my sun charm tightly until the rays cut my flesh. I did nothing to save her.
You do right by her children, but you can do right by them only if you are queen.
Nas said when I couldn't stop crying, couldn't breathe.
You can help no one if you fail.
He hissed at my unwaning dismay. 4 days have passed since Ashar's death was announced. In 3 days, they will crown his brother Zorer the new king of Kozari. If I fail. A woman has never ruled Kozari. Women's place here is only under the boot of men. But Ashar overstepped. He shook the balance of power. He made traditions and laws seem too flexible. Something that was previously unheard of in Kozari might now be tolerated. You can only need faith to some extent. Ashar was not a stupid man, but darkness ruled him. Who knows better than me how dark he was? And in his darkness, in the pleasure he took in hurting people, he forgot that power isn't secured to the ones born with it. It comes to those who take it, who nurture it. He did not consider that the noblemen in this land could take his insults only to a limit. For years, he wronged them, took gold from them, gave them only crumbs of influence. He didn't consider that the noblemen were armed, that they were dangerous. And he was right, in a way, since they never rose up against him. But Zorer's teeth will darken from the rotten fruits Ashar ate. Ashar went too far with Shiva. Because her husband was a nobleman. True, not one of much significance, yet a nobleman still. Ashar arranged for his death and then took his wife, Shiva, as a concubine. When it happened, I couldn't understand why he did it. After just a week in her bed, he returned to pester all of us again. But I abandoned any attempt to understand Ashar years ago. There is a darkness that even the burning light of sun can't reach. The only explanation I can find for his darkness is the use of the Cursed One's horns. I truly believe their hunted souls darkened his mind. Yet I'm too young to remember what he was like before. And now he is dead, not by sickness, not at a good age. He was preyed on by vultures. But vultures don't attack the living. No. Lian somehow killed him using the animals. Nas's spies informed us. When I first saw Lian, she reminded me of a beautiful doll my mother gifted me once. It was hard to capture all of her true appearance with those pearls she wore. I'd never met someone whose hair and eyes weren't yellow. And all the other Aldonians' hair and eyes are red like blood. Only hers was white, like the freshest snow. But you could hardly tell since her hair was mostly covered. Still, she was strikingly beautiful, and her poise and aura were part of everything a princess ought to be, like a perfect doll to display to all. My mother had just died, and they said she might be my new mother. I was 8 at the time, devastated at my mother's death. I didn't realize then how afraid I should have been, and just how much she protected me from him. I asked Lian if she was going to be my new mother. She replied with the sweetest voice. Mothers are irreplaceable, but I'll be your friend if you like. In the end, she was not, because Ashar decided to marry the daughter of Homed of the House of Shote, the wealthiest man in Kozari, after Ashar. And Homed's daughter was no mother or friend to me. But she is dead now, and she matters not. In those days, I sometimes thought if he'd married Lian, he wouldn't have come to my room at night. Maybe she would have protected me. Probably not. He always knew how to get what he wanted. When I finally gathered the courage to fight him, he told me he thought I wanted him to come to me, but that now he knew I did not wish it. He would go to my little sisters instead. I never fought him again.
Highness, the Duke wishes to speak to you.
Noka's voice is little more than a whisper. Nas, the Duke, my mother's older brother, head of the House of Oro. It was once the second wealthiest house in Kozari, but under Ashar's regime, it declined to the 4th wealthiest. Yet the Duke is even more powerful than Ashar's brother, who wishes to be crowned king. Because unlike Zorer, the Duke is not an imperious, complacent man. Nas had been plotting my coronation for years. I rise to my feet and take the wet towel Noka arranged for me to rinse the blood from my hands. Noka never hands me the towel. He always leaves it on the gilded tray so we won't accidentally touch. He knows I don't like to be touched. Noka stands by the wall of the temple. His gilded outfit blends in with the golden statue of sun. His eyes are set on the floor as he reverently bows his head in front of me. His eyes are almost amber. Such coloring with our people is a sign of low-class origin. A nobleman would never marry a woman with such coloring. He would take her as a concubine, though, because bastards are irrelevant. Only the intercourse blessed by sun matters. But sun loves all that he shines on, regardless of their colors. And Noka is nobler than all those who look down on him. He is only 7 years older than me. When I first met him, he was just an altar boy. but I chose him as my spiritual guide above all other priests. They spent too much time under my father, shaded by darkness. Noka is the only one I trust. He has repeatedly proven to be worthy of this trust with his discretion and loyalty, but also with his ability to guide me spiritually in the darkest hours, during which I have to expel the allure of death from my heart. It was Noka who told me of a prophecy he learned when fasting in the mountains. He said Amada is under great darkness, 100 years of night, and that a woman of no race will vanish that darkness away. He was surprised to hear I once met a girl with white hair and eyes. He thought it must have a significant meaning that our paths had crossed. He didn't know the meaning. Unlike other priests, he doesn't presume to know all. If I am queen, I will make him the head of the Kozari church. He will lead the people back to the ways of sun and away from the dark ways of the true religion. As I leave the sweet, heavy smell of the temple's incense, the scent of burned flesh only intensifies. I swallow the bile that rises in me. I don't slow my steps as I near the end of the corridor connecting the temple to the rest of the palace. A door to my right opens, and I slide through it before the Duke shuts it again. We must not be seen. Our lives depend on it. I trust only Noka to arrange for the Duke and I to meet. I take in my surroundings. We are in a small chamber, probably for servants, judging by its bareness. The Duke has a formidable air about him. It radiates from him and not from the massive gold jewelry he wears. He is much taller than me, but at 15 I have not yet fully grown. He resembles my mother, his face as noble and handsome as hers was, and he always holds himself gracefully in a manner that projects power. But the hardship of the last year has left its mark on him. His golden hair is now partly silver, and there is a deep crease between his eyebrows, as he frowns too often.
It is settled. The guards will remain outside the room, no matter what sound comes. But if he manages to open the door, they will kill you, Dahav.
His entire posture is taut as he speaks. I rub my thumb on the tender flesh in my palm, where the rays of the sun's charm wounded me the deepest. Will you pray for me? He sighs and shakes his head.
Praying will not help us now, my niece. It is time.
And he hands me a small knife. The golden hilt is carved with the face of sun. Praying for sun always helps, for how can we fight the darkness that surrounds us without finding the light within? I say as I take the knife from him. He smiles a small smile at me that doesn't reach his golden yellow eyes. I know he's not religious, but still he is good. For a nobleman. I will never marry, I tell him, because I will not start my quest for light in a lie, and I know he will want to marry me to his eldest, Shemesh, to rule through me. People often confuse my young age and religious devotion with naivete. I haven't been naive for years now. He takes his time in answering, his voice gentle.
There will be time for these decisions later.
I will never marry. Please know you can still change your mind. I declare solemnly. I don't want him to feel deceived later on.
No, I can't, and neither can you,
he urges.
If you are not queen, we will both have to pray for our deaths.
When I remain quiet, his gaze finds the small window beside me, his expression pained as he says without meeting my eyes.
Not all men are as your father was.
I stiffen at that. I do not call that man my father, and I don't need Nas to commiserate. I needed it to stop, and it didn't. So they can all save their pity for themselves. But I summon my calm tone. I know But I will no longer let a man, good or bad, control my faith, I say, and the implication that I won't let him control me hangs in the air. He looks at me somberly for a long moment and says nothing, nodding slowly in acceptance. He is a good ally, and he will be an asset in my rule of Kozari. My servants primp me thoroughly. My nails are painted gold, as are my lips, eyelashes, and eyebrows. My golden hair is brushed 1,000 times. My teeth are sparkling white, like pearls as I smile sweetly, the result of great care. My pants are low enough to show my belly button, and the gold chain that leads from it to my nose. The knife is hidden at the back of my shirt by my veil. My servants spray me with rose water. I am barefoot, like all women at the palace. We are not allowed out, so Ashar said we have no need for shoes. Of course, it is very cold in Kozari, even now in summer, and being barefoot and with little clothing is a great inconvenience. 2 of my servants walk silently behind me, holding the train of my veil as we make our way to Zorer's quarters. When we get there, Zorer's servants announce my arrival. One must be a foul master to have Kozari servants betray him. In Kozari, honor and loyalty to one's house are above all. Zorer is twice my size. Succeeding in killing him will be a miracle. Nas showed me on his eldest, Shemesh, where it is best to attack a man. But that is not even the beginning of the training that someone my size needs to defeat those of Zorer's size. Kozari honor dictates the battle for the crown will be direct. Therefore, poisoning Zorer or killing him in his sleep is not an option. Only Renyans act in such manners. If Sun does not help me, I will soon be dead. I swear you are the most beautiful thing in Amata, niece. Zorer calls as he sees me, leering at me with no shame. I feel bile rising at the sight of him, but I giggle and cover my mouth with my hand, an act of modesty and embarrassment expected of a Kozari woman. Always demure and meek. He devours me with his eyes, and I focus on not gagging. Soon he is so occupied with talking of himself and how he will favor me once he becomes king that he doesn't even ask why I've asked to see him. I prepared a speech explaining my desire for his patronage, but I just let him ramble instead. I giggle and bat my eyelashes at everything he says, and he gets more and more caught up in his self-importance. He slithers closer to me and grabs my breast, and I swiftly plunge the knife deep in his stomach. 1 hit is all you get, Nas told me. But Zorer is so big and fat that stabbing him in the stomach was a deadly mistake. He is bleeding, but not enough. You ungrateful whore, he hisses at me as his fist lands on my nose. I collapse in pain. He lays a strong punch to my right ear, and I can no longer hear his curses and foul words. Only a strong wheezing sound while my ear bleeds. I crawl away from him, and he kicks me in the stomach, quickly followed by my face. I spit out several teeth and do my best not to choke on my blood. I keep crawling away from him. He pulls the knife from his stomach and approaches me to finish the job. But sun shines its light, and Zorer slips on the puddle of my blood. He drops the knife as his heavy body falls to the floor. I grab it, plunge it into his throat, and finally bring light to Kozari.